On the bench is a Singer Touch Tronic 2010 memory machine. This is an electronic version of the 1036 that I have, and the bottom is already off. It's got a lot of rotten old foam in the bottom because this is a plastic piece to the metal machine, and that foam was on there to quiet everything down. The bottom is easy to remove. It just had some flathead screws covering everything, but this is a fully electronic machine, so it's got sensor here for the automatic bobbin winding, and then up inside it there's a cam motor or a to do the forward and reverse linkage here, and that's what I need to get access to because it's not doing its forward and reverse motion properly, so it probably needs to get cleaned or something, which means trying to get this machine apart to check it over and oil it. The top here is kind of loose, but it's also, these metal machines have pins and springs in them that make it hard to get this apart, and you shouldn't pry on it or you'll break something. So I did find there's this hex head cap pin that came out of this hole, and then I need to remove, just like that 1036, there's a screw here on the inside, a flathead screw that is kind of hidden here. I think if I, as I'm loosening this, the end cover is coming loose. So if we get this screw here out, I also spy another one of those hex head set screw style pins. So oh, and that slid right off. Okay, so that hex head pin there is already loose. Alright, so somebody should have tightened that, because there's a spot where it was tightened onto this pin, and then there'd be the screw that I took out, and that holds this cover on, and this cover has some lint behind it, but is otherwise okay. There's a bit of magic marker on the end of this machine, but okay. And then with that cover removed, does that make it easier to see where there might be something else holding this top on? I don't see. I'm just kind of tugging a little bit because I got that one pin out. Yeah, I can feel there's something sprung in there holding this down. I don't see anything to get at it, but you can see the early electronics here. This is our automatic buttonholer, an early one, and since I'm in here, we'll get that lint there. And here's the inside of the head here big nylon pieces, but they're in good shape, so we'll apply our dab of oil on all of that. And then feel, look here. Not sure how to proceed with this. There's a pair of large screws here that are holding this main casting onto the back side. So I'm going to assume the back side of this frame is the main frame of the machine here. So what if, is there a screw that might hold the front on? There is a screw here. And there. There's a screw right here. Okay, when I loosen that, that panel does loosen. Maybe we can pop the front panel off and look in there. Well, this panel is moving a bit, but it's not free, and it's got it is allowing me to clean along these seams a little deeper, so I guess we'll do that. Again, these particular Singers got to come apart in exactly the right way, or you'll miss a fastener, and it's all cast metal, so it'll just break instead of coming apart. So I'm going to try. There's this plastic piece here, and there appears to be a large screw here that might be fastening this plastic piece in, and then that might allow us to look there we go. And this trim piece just popped right off, and it covers the tensioner here, which and then it's got a peg here that's going to hold this bottom section of the tensioner up. So I need to make sure that I get that back in when I do this. Okay. I was able to peer in there and verify that there's just a sliding peg here. Since I've never opened one of these, I certainly wasn't going to pry on this lid until I knew how to get it off. So, with that cover off, I'm actually going to put this piece back on before we forget how it works. But I see there's little dirt on this tensioner take-up arm. There's a little spring here, so we're gonna clean that. Our Q-tip and a little bit of rubbing alcohol, and that will take all that old grease and goo off of here. And this machine has a needle threader here, this gray arm, but I don't actually know how that's supposed to work from the way it looks, so I'm ignoring that needle threader and just gonna not worry about it. Challenge with a machine of this age is they definitely were trying to grease it up for long-term lubrication, but clearly that is no longer good grease because it's just gotten old. So get that cleaned out and then apply a bit of fresh grease in the places that we found grease here, because there is a slider on the end right here. Turn this further. That slider is going to get a dab of fresh grease because that had some old grease in it. Although you could certainly just be oiling it if you want. There. Apply fresh grease to the top and bottom of that. And then I'm just going to oil kind of in the rest of this when we get to it, but alright, so that peg has to hold the plate for the tensioner up. So there we go. And I'm just, as I rotate this, I'm watching the metal piece of the tensioner and make sure that peg is moving it properly. Take this screw is the one that was in that hole. times this screwdriver is magnetized, unlike the cheapo Harbor Freight 6-way screwdriver, which I use most of the time because non-magnetized screwdrivers are a lot easier to work with for a lot of things. But with the top off, you can see this machine has a nice steel main shaft, and we can get in and put a dab of oil on the main bearings here. And the important thing when you're working on especially these early electronic machines is that you want to make sure that you're not getting any extra oil or grease on any of the electronics, because they're or any electronic machine. Don't get extra oil or grease on any of the electronics, because that can interfere with the operation of the electronics. So no. Trying to reach in and get the other end of the bearing here, and then this is the solenoid that moves the needle bar side to side. So we want a little bit of oil on that, and then there is a gate sensor right here that appears to have some old grease worked into it. I'm just gonna get the old grease out of there, and that way that sensor should be able to work better. Let's see, I still did not find the solenoid for the feed dogs, so I'm going to have to see about getting further into the machine. But most solenoids, just give them a little bit of workaround so that they will have a chance to keep moving, because if they get stuck a little bit they won't be able to move, but if you free them up and just wiggle them a bit, a lot of times they will be more than happy to get going again.